It is my pleasure to introduce Gayle Harrell.
Thank you so very much, Debbie, and it's a delight to be here with you once again. And it's wonderful to be with this fantastic group. And before I start, what I'd like to do is say thank you to Debbie and the committee who did this. This has been an absolutely fantastic evening. So let's give Debbie a hand. I just got back from Tallahassee, and if I fall over or fall asleep, please forgive me. We were in session until 2:30 in the morning. And this was a classic example of what the Democrats are doing. When you have a Democrat-controlled Congress that is absolutely stifling the will of the people, we had the same kind of thing happen last night in Tallahassee, where the Democrats insisted, and because of a rule, they were able to require us to read every single bill. The first bill was 87 pages and took 2.5 hours to read. So we proceeded to vote on all our legislation that was on the day, on the calendar for the day, and we stayed there till 2:30 this morning. We do not need that kind of leadership in control of this country. The number one responsibility of government truly is to protect and defend this country. I have been fortunate enough to serve on the Homeland Security Committee. It was called at one point Domestic Security, but I've served on the Homeland Security Committee for the last 6 years. And back in my first term, Jeb Bush asked me to do the Seaport Security Bill, actually before 9/11, and that was to set security standards in our ports, because we had a huge problem with cocaine coming in through our ports. We heard the sheriff talk about drugs coming into, and the sale of drugs here in Okeechobee, and certainly that is a major, major issue. And when Jeb asked me to do that bill, I was very pleased to do that. And we set those security standards. That became then a model across the nation after 9/11. And as I said, the security of this country is the number one responsibility, and truly one of the major reasons I'm running for this office. We need to have the experience in the U.S. Congress who understands how significant that is. When I see that this election that is coming is right before us, this is probably the most pivotal election we have faced in the last 30 years. Wherever you stand on Iraq, we cannot withdraw from Iraq. We cannot set a date for surrender. When I see what is happening over there, and our daughter spent 15 months serving in the Middle East as an Air Force first lieutenant, I can tell you that we have got to make sure that we give our forces all the material, the ability to defeat the Islamic jihadists. And when I see Tim Mahoney withholding funds from our troops, it upsets me greatly. In the legislature on Thursday, we honored our military. And we had a wonderful ceremony honoring them. And I honored 3 of our fallen who were killed in Iraq over the last 3 years from my district. And one of the mothers came to that ceremony, and she was indeed overwhelmed when the legislature stood for a moment of silence in honor of her son. And I can tell you that those men have not died in vain. And we do not need to have Democrats in control of Congress playing games with their lives. You know, when we look at security issues, we have to understand that securing our border is also a security issue. We have got to know who is coming into our country. We have to make sure that they are here for the appropriate reasons, and that if they are here to work, that they are legal immigrants, and they're coming here with the proper credentials, and we know who they are. I have been very, very forceful in the Florida legislature trying to do what the state can do to stop illegal immigration. There's no doubt this is a federal issue, and when I am the U.S. Congress, we will make sure that we close our borders, that we don't give amnesty. Unfortunately, my Florida State Borders Act has not moved in the legislature, and I am working very hard as we speak over the next 2 weeks to try and get that to move further in the legislature. But the state has a responsibility here, and I have been, as I said, a force in trying to make that happen. And I will be a force in the U.S. Congress to make sure that this does happen at the federal level. As a Republican and as a fiscal conservative, I can tell you that when I see our federal government spending at the level that they are spending, using your hard-earned dollars, and in fact printing hard-earned dollars in order to spend beyond our ability to spend, I think it's time that we go back to those fiscal conservative roots that are indeed part of the Republican Party. We have done that in Florida. And as a member of the legislature, I have fought for the last 8 years to reduce taxes in the state of Florida. We have cut over $28 billion in taxes since I was elected. And I will continue to do that in the U.S. Congress to make sure that we have a fiscal conservative. And Tim Mahoney has not done that. He has voted with the Democrats every single time. We need to transform this bungling bureaucracy that is out there. As Debbie said, I've worked very closely with Newt Gingrich on health care issues. And we are facing a huge problem. I call it the 800-pound gorilla in the room that nobody talks about. And that's, how many of you are in the baby boomer generation? Raise your hand. There are 77 million of us who are about to descend on the Medicare system. Do you know what that is going to do to our budget? We are going to bankrupt this country if we don't put some personal responsibility into the system. We need to really look and be innovative and creative in how we do that through, first of all, putting personal responsibility back in. We can use health information technology. We can eliminate the tort tax out there where the medical malpractice issues that create huge expenses, probably 30% in the healthcare system. And we also need to change the tax structure so that you as an individual get the same tax deduction that a corporation gets for health insurance. So we need to make major changes in our healthcare system, and I will be a force to do that. I have done it in Florida, and I will take that experience to Washington and continue to do that there. And probably the number one reason I'm running for the U.S. Congress is because when I look at Tim Mahoney's voting record, and it is 89% with Nancy Pelosi, I can tell you 89% of the time this district, the values of this district are not the values of Nancy Pelosi. Do you not agree with me? We need to restore those values. You know, we hear so much about change. And if you listen to the Democrats out there, it's change, change, change. Let's talk about restoration of values. Let's go back to who we are. We need to make sure that we protect life, that we are out there working for families. This is what we are as Americans. That's what has made us strong, and that is why I want to go to U.S. Congress, to take our values back and restore those values to the U.S. Congress. So I would invite each and every one of you, become part of this team. Join, as I like to say, join the Gayle force. Become part of this team, and working together, we can take back District 16. We can protect and defend America. We can make sure we have a tax structure and a tax system that reflects the values of this country. And we can make sure that we restore those values to Congress. So thank you so much. I appreciate your vote and your consideration. I'm Gayle Harrell. Thank you.